A couple weeks ago, I did a full game solo run with a Mewtwo that had been given perfect stats, 255 in every single category, and I declared it to be the perfect Gen 1 Pokemon. But there were a few surprises. Even with perfect stats, Mewtwo was not one-shotting everything in the late game. In fact, there were quite a few opponents that were taking 2 hits to knock out, which all came down to the fact that Mewtwo, while it has great special coverage, doesn't actually learn many physical moves like Earthquake that would be good against electric and fire type Pokemon. And this caused a mountain of comments that I had chosen the wrong Pokemon, because clearly if we wanted the perfect Pokemon, it would have to be a Mew with perfect base stats. And it makes perfect sense. The only reason Mew is normally outclassed in Gen 1 by Mewtwo is because, while Mew does have a balanced 100 in every single base stat category, Mewtwo's 130 base speed plus its 154 base special, and the fact it gets amnesia, makes that Pokemon completely broken in Gen 1, to the point that it just simply outclasses everything. But in a case like this, where we're giving a Pokemon perfect stats, the level up growth rate and the move pool should be far more important than anything else. And Mew should have that covered. It comes in with a medium slow growth rate, and of course can boast being the only Pokemon that learns every single TM in the game, meaning we can always match our moves to exactly what stands in front of us. So why didn't I use this Pokemon last time? Comes down to that level up learn set. Mew starts the game with only Pound, a 40 base power normal move. Given that we saw in the last video that Mewtwo with its Stab Psychic still did not one-shot Brock's Onix on minimum battles, that tells us that we're probably going to need to do a little bit of grinding before Brock if we're going to win with Pound. The question is, will our massive move pool after that allow us to get a faster time through the game? Well, I have given this Mew perfect stats to find out if it can actually outclass Mewtwo in a full game solo challenge. Now, you guys can read the full rules down below, but just a cliff notes, I'm going to be running this Mew twice. Once with animations on, full names, all that. The second time we will turn animations off and play through the game as quickly as we possibly can. And we're going to compare those results to the Mewtwo runs that we did previously. If we are faster, that's great. And if we are not, then we're just going to have to admit defeat to Mewtwo. So with that, let's simply dive into the action and see how quickly we can beat the game with this Mew. So of course, Professor Oak finds a mythical Pokemon outside of Pallet Town, doesn't even bother to study it at this point because he knows we're going to come back and fight him at the end of the game, and that's when he's really going to know, after we've leveled it up and gotten it some moves, how this Pokemon actually performs. So instead, he's just going to let us go ahead and beat up on his grandson to get that training started. And here against this Eevee, we go Pound. A critical hit did not one-shot. This is a 2-hit KO even after a crit, but we did manage to win that fight, obviously quite easily. The issue is Pound is not going to be that great against Brock. Consider that this move is effectively going to be 20 base power because of Brock's resistance due to his rock typing, and we already saw in previous runs, like Struggle against rock types with a perfect Weedle did not do that much damage. Struggle is only a little bit stronger than Pound, so this could be pretty darn tough. I am still going to attempt this on minimum battles, however, because that's the way that we ran with Mewtwo. In fact, with Mewtwo, we took one optional battle in the entire run that was simply to get Body Slam on the SSN. I don't even think we need to take any additional battles, but it just might take a really long time on this first Brock fight. So coming into the Bug Catcher fight at the end of Viridian Forest, we can see that Pound, even with a critical hit, did less than half damage. So this turns out to be a 3-hit KO with Pound. So what we can say definitively at this point is that compared to Mewtwo, we are definitely losing time. Psychic was a 1-hit KO there, and it's not going to get any better against Brock, but let's see how he goes. So first things first, against Brock's Geodude, we can see that we're doing pretty decent damage with our Pound, but it's still taking a lot of turns to get through this, whereas Psychic with Mewtwo was a 1-hit KO. Still, we do manage to get through to the Onix and get to level 9, where the problem now is that, while yes, we 2-shot this Pokemon with Mewtwo's Psychic, here we're gonna take a lot more turns than that. And if it uses bind, we're going to lose even more time here. Plus, if it uses bide and we don't knock it out before bide finishes, it will return a lot of damage. Still, we do win on the first attempt and get to level 11. It took 3 minutes and 13 seconds to get through that gym. So definitely not a perfect time, but we have gotten through and we're moving on minimum battles. Now the question is simply, can we make up all the time that we're losing here in the next section, given the fact that we don't have nearly as strong moves as our Mewtwo did? Here we can start to one-shot these bug Pokemon if we get critical hits. Non-critical hits are still 2-hit KOs on the Caterpies and Weedles here. The one advantage that we have is that we are gaining levels faster, which is increasing the amount of damage that we do each time, since level does calculate into the damage calculation formula. And at this point, we've actually used all our pounds, so we're simply going to go for struggle on these last 2 Pokemon that we need to fight before we get to Mount Moon. We're going to stay on minimum battles, but Mount Moon is where we're finally going to get some new moves. First up is, of course, Water Gun, a 40 base power water type move. I will pick up the rare candy just to have it, and I am going to grab Mega Punch as well, just because I think Mega Punch will possibly allow us to one-shot some opponents. And now with those 2 moves in tow, I'm going straight to the Super Nerd at the end of Mount Moon. We're not going to waste any time with any of these rockets here. Let's just see if we can actually start one-shotting, at least with Mega Punch. So here against the Grimer, a critical hit Mega Punch does one-hit it. We missed the Mega Punch first turn against Voltorb, but the next one does knock it out. And then here against the Coughing, another critical hit one-shot, and we can get Lord Dome as we make our way through. Now it's time to take on Jesse and James. I hope we get the same sort of ranges here of one-hit KOs. We do one-shot the Ekans. The Meowth also doesn't have that much defense. Coughing also goes down, so we do manage to get through just fine there. And now I think our best play, in order to go as quickly as possible, is to go straight to Misty. As long as we can knock Misty out, we should be in a situation where we can get Bubble Beam, which will be a much stronger water type move. So of course we have to fight one trainer in the gym. We can one-shot it with a Mega Punch. We get to level 18 as we come into the Misty fight. So Misty attempt number 1, I'm going to Mega Punch her Staryu and we get the one-hit KO, and we missed the first Mega Punch on Starmie. The second one did about half, so it's a 2-hitter there, but we do win and get to level 20 in 6 minutes and 26 seconds. So just like that, we are able to now progress in the game. I'm going to teach Bubble Beam immediately to MewZilla, our Mew with perfect stats. And now we can go and take on our rival. I am going to grab the rare candy here. Rare candies could be important later on just to get better ranges, I don't know. But with that, let's go ahead and fight our rival and see if we can easily beat him. So here, I'm actually going to go Mega Punch on the Spearow. We'll go Bubble Beam on Sandshrew, back to Mega Punch. I'm not sure which is actually better, Mega Punch or Bubble Beam. Bubble Beam's probably better on the Rattata, but then Mega Punch one-shots the Eevee and we get through and get to level 21. So now I'm simply going to move Bubble Beam into the top slot, because as much as we can simply use a 100% accurate move to knock out opponents, I think that is the best strategy, and we should make really quick work of everything going north to Bill's house. And as we make it to the Oddish Lass at the end of this section, this is the only trainer that I will go Mega Punch, just because of the fact that these Oddish resist Bubble Beam, but still we missed so many of them. We can one-shot Pidgey though with Bubble Beam, and then back to a Mega Punch on the final Oddish, and we have gotten through this whole section with no issues whatsoever. So we're going to show Billy Boy this Pokemon. He's going to respond by saying, yes, I want to combine with this Pokemon next time. Clearly superior to Mewtwo in every possible way. It's obviously much cuter than Mewtwo. So we're going to promise him we'll come back later. So now it's time to take on this innocent bystander, where this should be an incredibly easy fight as well. We're simply going to one-shot his Pokemon, I think, and get through this section. And with that, it's time to simply make our way down to rival number 3. And of course, this is the one spot I will take an optional battle just to be able to get Body Slam. We have to fight this one youngster who has a Nidoran male, and after we knock it out, Body Slam is waiting right here for us, and this will solve all of our missed problems with Mega Punch. In fact, fact, I'm just going to learn it over Pound for now, and that will give us a strong physical move. So now it's time for rival number 3. Let's just see how he goes with this moveset, where I think mostly we spam Body Slam because this move is highly accurate, it does good damage. I'll just switch for the Sandshrew, and otherwise we get one-hit KOs the entire way as we get to level 26. So we are quite a few levels higher than the Mewtwo was at this point, but we still definitely are not as fast. We are losing a lot of time here due to the fact that we've just not been able to one-shot everything. Mewtwo, it was really just a couple trainers up to this point that we couldn't one-hit KO. So I'm going to go into the fight against Lieutenant Surge now because we definitely want to get Thunderbolt so we have another strong move to one-shot opponents. I do not auto-solve the trash can puzzle, so we're just going to have to get it, and this could be a little bit of a random time loss. And after a small eternity, we do get through that. Let's take on Lieutenant Surge. So Lieutenant Surge attempt to number 1, of course I'm going Body Slam right here, and it's not a one-hit KO on the Raichu even at a higher level. It took 12 minutes and 53 seconds to get through that fight. Granted, we lost a little bit of time due to digging through the trash in Lieutenant Surge's gym. He likes to remind everybody in advance that he is a trash gym leader. But definitely there is a time loss. So currently we are a full minute and 28 seconds slower than the Mewtwo up to this point in this challenge. So we've definitely got some ground to make up if we're going to be faster than that Pokemon, but this could be a little bit tough. So as mentioned, I will learn Thunderbolt immediately. I'm just going to learn this over Water Gun. I don't think we need that move anymore. And we're going back to Cerulean as quickly as possible. So now as we make our way towards Rock Tunnel, we have to take on the Wrapping Lass. And here the best thing to do is simply to Body Slam the entire way. These are all going to be one-hit KOs at this point, so I don't think we're going to have any major issues in this section. I am losing a little bit of time occasionally to dropping saves for routing, but we've made it to the Rock Tunnel Hiker, the guy who loves to explode, only to find that we've run out of PP and Bubble Beam. Still, critical hit Body Slams are enough to actually knock those Pokemon out, so we didn't lose any major time there. And now I'm simply going to make my way to Cerulean City. I think that once we get access to Psychic here, and Ice Beam will be perfectly good to go against Erica, and I think we're going to have a moveset that's pretty good for a while. Now keep in mind, I do not use the Pokédoll glitch in my runs. So we do have to fight Giovanni and Jesse and James in the Rocket Hideout. You could definitely shave some time off of this run by using the Pokédoll glitch, but for me, I only use that in my super minimum battles runs where I do sequence breaks. Otherwise, we don't go for any glitches like that in these runs. So I'm going to go ahead and take on the Rocket Hideout first here. Let's just get all of these random trainers out of the way. They shouldn't be too hard anyway to beat, so we're just going to pretty much go on a one-shot fest now that we actually have moves. We will not learn Metronome. Maybe we'll do a Metronome run someday with this, but for now, I'm just going to get through these fights nice and quick. So here against Jesse and James, we're simply going to hold down Auto A on Psychic. This should just be a bunch of one-hit KOs on every single Pokemon. And now at level 31, we can take on Giovanni, where he's going to lead off with his Onix. We're simply going to go straight for the Ice Beam here. Just continue that move on the Rhyhorn, and then I just want to make sure I get the range, so Psychic on the Persian, and we one-shot all of his Pokemon. And now I'm going to go ahead and take on Erica. I think I took on Erica first with the Mewtwo, so the time here is definitely going to be a little bit slower, but let's just see if we get all the one hits that I think we can get. So Erica attempt number 1, I'm just going for Ice Beam on the Tangela. It's a nice one-hit KO. We can go Psychic on Weepinbell, and what the heck, let's just go Psychic on Gloom. Easy victory there as we get to level 33. So 20 minutes, 34 seconds to get through 4 gyms, but with the Rocket Game Corner done in advance. Plus, we had to route out of our way in order to get Psychic, so yet again, a little bit of time burn there when we're trying to go pick up other moves. Still, we're doing perfectly reasonably fine up to this point. There's nothing really to write home about. The 2 optional battles are just the bug catcher on Route 3 that we fought instead of the last, so you could technically count that one off, and the 1 trainer that we fought on the SSN to get body slam. Otherwise, we're running basically on minimum battles, and really this Pokemon's not doing bad. We have been avoiding healing as much as possible in order to keep our time as fast as possible as well, and we've one-shot basically everything since Lieutenant Surge. And with that, it's time to get back to Lavender and fight against our rival, where here the best strategy is definitely to go Thunderbolt on the Fearow. Magnemite, I'm just going to go Body Slam. Thunderbolt on the Shelder, of course. Then we can go Ice Beam on this Sandshrew, and finally a Body Slam to knock out the Eevee. Now I'm going to avoid healing even though I've only got 1 PP left in Psychic because we're going to get a free heal very soon. I'm pretty sure we're going to one-shot the Ghastlies anyway, so let's just see. So first Ghastly here, I will use Psychic to guarantee the 1-hit KO as we get to level 34, and then Thunderbolt one-shots the second Ghastly, so nothing to worry about there. So I'm just going to pick up Elixirs in here just in case we need them to manage our PP later on, but we can get a free heal right there, and it's on to the top of the tower. And against Ghosty Mama, the Ghost Marowak at the top of the tower, a single Ice Beam will one-shot it, and we can take on Jesse and James. Again, this should be a one-shot fest. I'm just going to hold Auto A on Psychic here. So we one-shot the Meowth, of course. Arbok comes out, it goes down, and the Weezing never stood a chance against a perfect Psychic-type Pokemon. So now we save Mr. Fuji and we have to decide how to route through the game. There are a couple of ways that we could go. I'm actually going to go take on Koga first. I think this makes the most sense. We've got perfectly good moves for his entire gym. We're actually at a higher level than the Mewtwo was, so I'm sure that we're going to be one-shotting these Psychic types with Body Slam as well. I will route to get the Rare Candy, the Max Elixir, and the PP up over here. Yet again, I'm not sure if I need them, but that is the route that I used with my Mewtwo, so I'm just going to keep it consistent. And with that, it is into Koga's gym where we should get more of a one-hit KO fest here. We're going to save our Psychics, of course, for the gym leader, but Body Slam is more than enough. If we're one-shotting the Drowsies, we're definitely one-shotting Kadabra. We're faster than everything, so these should be very, very easy victories. But in fact, the Hypno on the second Juggler survives, so we probably actually need to take other battles before we come here. Still, we've made it to Koga. Let's go ahead and beat him up with our Psychic. So here against Koga, Auto A on Psychic will one-shot the first Venonat, one-shot the second Venonat. We are going to one-shot the third Venonat. Here we get to level 37, and we outspeed Venomoth and one-shot it as well. So 24 minutes, 37 seconds to beat Koga, which is about a minute and 40 seconds faster than with the Mewtwo. But there's a caveat. Mewtwo fought Sabrina first. We still have to go back and fight that fight. But if we can get through that within about 2 minutes, this one could actually get pretty darn close. So let's just get to it and see how quickly we can get through that section. We do have to, of course, do the Safari Zone as well, so I'm going to get that out of the way, but we might be catching up here. So first things first, of course, we have to fight against rival number 5. Let's see how he goes at this point. He's got his basically final team. We're going Ice Beam on the Sandslash. Very nice. It's a one-hitter. Cloyster can get the Thunderbolt. Out next comes the Magneton. I'm going to Body Slam it. Easy one-hitter. Body Slam on the Kadabra. And then we can simply Body Slam on the Flareon. We one-shot all of those Pokemon. Easy, easy victory. Now to Jesse and James, where I'm just going to Auto A on Psychic this entire way. They never pose a trouble to us in this run. Fortunately, Mega Punch was enough in the early game, and now Psychic is enough in the late game. So it's on to Giovanni. Let's see how he goes. So here Psychic one-shots Nidorino, of course. We are going to one-shot the Persian as we get to level 40. This is where we would normally learn Psychic, and everything with Psychic is a one-hit KO on this fight. So Giovanni, a joke as usual, but now we have to go upstairs and get access to our final move that we're going to learn in this run. That, of course, is Earthquake. No more will we be relying on Body Slam because Earthquake is the stronger move. Now, a lot of people asked why I didn't learn Earthquake in the last one. It's because in Gen 1, Mewtwo did not learn Earthquake. That was not added to its moveset until Gen 3. But now we have to see if this stronger move will allow us to one-shot where Mewtwo was not in the previous run. But first things first, let's take on Sabrina. So against Sabrina, of course, I'm going to go for the Earthquake and one-shot the Abra. Out next comes Kadabra. We one-shot that Pokemon as well. And Alakazam is a one-hit KO in this one. So perfect. We get through in 28 minutes and 19 seconds, which means this is 2 minutes slower than we beat the same gym leaders with our perfect Mewtwo. 2 minutes is an awful lot of time to make up when you're playing this fast, when most fights are simply one-hit KOs. I'm not confident that this Pokemon's going to be actually any better. Still, we have to see. Let's keep it going. Next up is going to be Blaine. Now, Blaine last time was the fight where we were not one-shotting every single Pokemon, and was the whole reason why I was starting to think Earthquake would make a big difference in this one. Obviously, as a super effective move, I think we're going to one-shot Sweep, but let's find out if that's actually the case. Of course, Tombstoner would one-shot here, but Earthquake might be enough. So Blaine attempt number 1 here, I'm going straight for the Earthquake, and it does one-shot Ninetales. We get to level 42. We then one-shot the Rapidash, and Arcanine yet again goes down in a single hit. So 30 minutes and 36 seconds to win that fight, as opposed to Mewtwo, which took 29 minutes and 46 seconds. This is getting a little bit closer here. Now we should have perfectly good moves against Giovanni, so I'm not too worried about the next gym, but let's just see if we can keep making up time here. So against Giovanni, of course, I'm going to lead off with an Ice Beam on the Doug Trio. Next, we can go Psychic on the Persian. I'm going to stick with Psychic on the two Nidos, and they both go down in easy one-hit KOs. Finally, we get to the Rhydon. Psychic's probably fine, but Ice Beam will one-shot it. And 31 minutes, 46 seconds to get through that fight. We are now 39 seconds slower than the Mewtwo. Still not too bad. Let's go ahead and fight against our rival and make our way to the league. I think we can avoid any heals here, and we're going to avoid the rare candy in the victory road because it's going to take extra time. So here, Rival 6 attempt number 1. Ice Beam one-shots the Sandslash. We're going to stick with Ice Beam on the Execute. Out next is Cloyster, of course. Thunderbolt will one-shot this Pokemon. Now we can get a one-hit KO on Magneton with Earthquake. Same move again on the Kadabra, and we're going to stick with the Earthquake on the Flareon, all one-hit KOs. So definitely more efficient than what we had with Mewtwo. Mewtwo was still two-shotting there against that Magneton, whereas here we actually managed to get through everything as a one-hit KO. Now in that first Mewtwo run, we ran into a trainer by accident here, which added to our time. So I am convinced that we might be able to gain back some time there. Plus, if we get better ranges on the champion, it might be really, really close. With these super strong moves, fights really don't take that long, so it's pretty easy to gain back the time as long as we don't make any major mistakes. So with that, let's just go straight for Lorelei and start this run through the Elite Four. So against Lorelei, of course, I'm going straight for Thunderbolt here. It's a one-shot on the Dugong. Thunderbolt again on Cloyster. Same move again on the Slowbro. Now I'm going to switch to Earthquake on this Jinx just to make sure it's a one-hitter. And finally, we can Thunderbolt on the Lapras. Easy, easy victory. So on to Bruno. Where the strategy, of course, is just auto A on Psychic the entire way. The Onix cannot survive against this move. They're just far too weak with their low special, so we're guaranteed to one-hit KO every single Pokemon on this team. Except I ran out of Psychics at the end, so we had to two-shot the Machamp. Definitely a strategy mistake that I will fix in the next attempt. So next up, Agatha, we are going auto A on Psychic the entire way. We get to level 50 here, we one-shot the Golbat, we're going to one-shot Haunter, of course. None of these Pokemon can survive to our Stab Psychic, so as the final Gengar comes out, it's an easy one-hit KO as we get to level 51. We haven't added on any rare candies at this point. I don't honestly think that we need them. Let's just get into the Lance fight. So against Lance, of course, I'm going to lead off with Thunderbolt on the Gyarados, and then everything else is about Ice Beam. Here we're going to one-shot both of the Dragonairs. We're faster than Aerodactyl, so it goes down in one hit. We get to level 52 and knock out the Dragonite. So we're here at 36 minutes and 43 seconds going into the champion. I'm dropping one Elixir just to be careful, and let's get into this fight. So here against the champion, of course, it's Ice Beam on the first Sandslash. We are then going Earthquake on Alakazam. Ice Beam time on Exeggutor is not a one-hitter, it's a two-hit KO here. Rare candies would have helped. Earthquake will one-shot the Magneton. We're going to Thunderbolt on the Cloyster. And finally, Earthquake on this Flareon. It went quick attack, losing us some time, but we managed to win and get to level 54 with a final time of 37 minutes and 23 seconds. That is 10 seconds faster than the Mewtwo that we ran last time. Even with a couple of minor strategy mistakes, we were able to beat that previous Mewtwo time. But remember, I mentioned we ran into a random trainer in Victory Road with Mewtwo that lost us a little bit of time there. So this one's probably just a little bit slower if we hadn't made that strategy mistake with the Mewtwo in the first attempt. That's something that we corrected in the second attempt. We saw here too that there were a couple mistakes that we could have fixed. Rare candies probably would help at certain key points in the run. The early game is definitely slower with this Pokemon, but the late game, we did actually come on pretty darn well. So here in the second run, we are going to turn animations off, and it's time to start a new game and go as quick as we possibly can. We're named A, our rival is going to be named A, and our Pokemon is named A. It's all set in my overlay, so we're not losing time by setting that here. Professor Oak once again is going to catch this mythical Pokemon right outside of Pallet. A single Pokeball is all it takes. The guy is a legend. And with Mew in tow, it's time to just beat up on our rival once again. And this time we still get the 2-hit KO range on that first Pokemon. We're gonna rush our way straight up to Brock. So here against Brock, of course, there's nothing to do but just hold down Auto A on Pound. We're hoping for lots of critical hits, and we're hoping not to get Bind from the Onix. Those are the two things that we need to get through this as quickly as possible. Obviously, Bind will waste a lot of turns. Bide, Tackle, Screech, they're all perfectly fine with us as long as we don't get that Bind, and we're getting a pretty decent range here overall. Still, it takes 2 minutes and 50 seconds to get through the Brock fight. So just to make that clear, that is slower than Mewtwo running with animations on through this fight. You could certainly get that down with perfect routing, not bumping into walls, etc. I'm a blind guy playing at 4 times speed, so of course I'm gonna have a little bit of inefficiency there, but still, you're not gonna be beating Brock super fast here. So we're just gonna have to see how quickly we can get through the rest of this section. And it's worth noting that we're not one-shotting everything here. We do actually need crits to one-shot Pokemon in this next section. So I am still going to pick up Water Gun and Mega Punch here because I do think that the extra PP will help me from going back to heal quite as often, and Mega Punch, as long as it hits, will get me better damage ranges. But here I'm actually going to reroute just a little bit. I don't always one-hit KO against the Starmie on Misty's team, so instead I'm going to try to fight the rival and go up north through all the easy trainers first. So here we do manage to one-shot on that first Spearow. We one-shot the Sandshrew. I'm going Water Gun here. We one-shot the Rattata. It's a 2-hit KO with Water Gun on the Eevee, but we took a couple growls, so I didn't think we could go all in on Water Gun. Still not too bad. And just like that, we're able to get through that whole section with really no issues. We can go back to the gym, and let's just see what the ranges are now on Misty. So against Staryu, of course, we Mega Punch and one-shot that Pokemon. We Mega Punch and one-shot the Starmie, so we easily get through 8 minutes and 6 seconds to get through the second gym, but we already completed everything up north to Bill's house, so it is a time improvement, plus we've actually done more at this point than we did last time. So with that, it's time to just make our way down to Lieutenant Surge and Rival 3, and let's just see how these ones go. So back to Rival 3 here, I'm just going to go Auto A on the Bubble Beam the whole way. I think this is more than enough to get through all these Pokemon nice and quick. Eevee, just to be careful, I'm going to go the Body Slam. We easily get through. So with that, there's going to be a little bit of randomness digging through the trash in good old Trash Man Lieutenant Surge's gym. But once we get through it, let's see if we can now maybe just get a good range on that Raichu. I'm pretty sure a critical hit just one-shots it, so that's really all we need. We've got approximately a 50% chance of that happening. This time we found the switches on the first attempt, so we got here nice and quick, and a single critical hit Body Slam does the job. 11 minutes and 6 seconds to get through that gym. So that is nearly a 2-minute improvement up to this point in the run, and let's just see if we can keep stacking on some slight improvements. And this time we get to the Rock Tunnel Hiker with plenty of PP left because we kept Water Gun rather than Mega Punch at this point, so we easily knock him out with no issues. And just like that, we make it into the basement of the Rocket Hideout, where we can simply spam really anything against Jesse and James. I misclicked and used Ice Beam instead of Psychic. Doesn't really matter, we easily get through every single time. And now against Giovanni, it's going to be more of the same action as we completely destroy him. We know we're going to beat rival number 4 super easily as well, so let's just make our way to Erica. So against Erica, of course, we Ice Beam on the Tangela, and then it's just a matter of going Psychic the rest of the way. So we beat Erica in 20 minutes and 4 seconds this time. So interestingly, just about 30 seconds faster than our previous run. We're gonna have to pick up the pace if we're gonna stand any chance against our Mewtwo. But the next change in our route, of course, is that we're going straight into Silphco here rather than going down to fight against Koga, just because we found last time we didn't quite get the range on that Hypno. It might have been a damaged range, but it's definitely safer to come here and get more levels first. So rival 5 time, let's see how he goes at our current level. So here, of course, I'm going to Ice Beam against the Sandslash. Cloyster is a Thunderbolt. Then we're going to go Psychic on the Magneton. It's our strongest move. It does not get a one-hitter. We have to 2-shot there. Body Slam will take down Kadabra though, and back to Psychic. It's a 2-hit KO, and we get Fire Spin from the Flareon. Without a critical hit, that is a 2-hit KO on that Pokemon. We don't really have anything better than Psychic there. But with that section done, we can get access to Earthquake, which is of course stronger than Body Slam as well, so we should get better ranges here now. Still, I'm already in Saffron, so I'm just going to go and take on Sabrina at this point and just get another gym badge. So against Sabrina, of course, it's Earthquake on Abra, Earthquake on Kadabra, Earthquake on Alakazam. Easy victory there as we get to level 40. 22 minutes and 51 seconds to get through that. We've rearranged our gyms just a little bit here, but I think this was the way to go. And I had one reset due to routing in the Rock Tunnel. Otherwise, we have been moving through this pretty smoothly so far. So now it's just time to see how we do in Koga's gym with our updated moveset, including Earthquake. I expect to just one-shot all of these Psychic types, but let's see if that is in fact the case now. And here, sure enough, we do one-shot the Hypno now as we get to level 41, and it's time to just defeat Koga. So here against Koga, of course, we're just spamming Psychic the entire way, and we're through that actually a lot faster than last time. We haven't done the Safari Zone yet, but last time to beat both Koga and Sabrina took about 28 minutes. We're here through Koga and Sabrina at this point at 24 minutes and 33 seconds. It's not like the Safari Zone's going to take that long, so we're definitely making an improvement here. So honestly, if I had to come back and optimize anything at this point, it would probably just be figuring out where exactly to use rare candies to get the best possible damage ranges, but really the strategy wise we're doing perfectly fine. So back to Blaine again, where of course Earthquake should just be a bunch of one-hit KOs. As we get to level 42, we're not too worried about this fight, and we easily win, coming through in 27 minutes and 55 seconds. So about 2.5 minutes faster at this point. We've got to keep the speed going because we have to be able to beat the game in 34 minutes in order to beat our Mewtwo. This one could be incredibly close. So now Giovanni, he should just be a one-hit KO fest this whole time. We're just going to go Psychic on basically everything other than the Rhydon and Dugtrio, and I will simply use the Ice Beam, partially just to conserve PP, and there we go. 29 minutes, 12 seconds to get through that, so again, a couple minutes faster than last time, and it's on to the rival and to the league. And against rival number 6, of course, it's Ice Beam on Sandslash, Ice Beam on Execute, Thunderbolt on the Cloyster. We're going to go Earthquake the rest of the way, and all of these Pokemon are easily going to be destroyed by us at level 46. So now at level 47, we're heading back to the league, and we've just got to make sure to go as efficiently as possible here. We know that we want to use the rare candies just before the champion to make sure that we get that one-hit KO range on the Exeggutor. The reason I want to make sure that we get that is because there is always a chance that it uses Barrage on us the turn that we don't manage to hit it, and a 5-turn Barrage could waste a ton of time there. But just like that, we are to the league, and it's time to see how quickly we can get through these fights. First up, Lorelei. She is the entire reason we carry Thunderbolt this far into the game, where most of her Pokemon easily go down. Earthquake on Jinx, of course, and then finally a Thunderbolt on the Lapras will get us the win. Now Bruno. So this time we have enough Psychics that we are going to be able to Psychic the final Machamp, which means that these will in fact all be one-hit KOs. Next is, of course, Agatha, where we're simply going to spam Psychic once again and get the easy one-hit KO sweep on the entire team. And we get to level 51 as we beat her. It's on to Lancey Boy, of course, who we've got Ice Beam, we've got Thunderbolt. There's no issues here. That, of course, leaves only Lance before the champion, where Thunderbolt destroys Gyarados and everything else goes down to Ice Beam. But we're going to have to go really quick here if we're going to be able to beat our Mewtwo. So here I'm just going to gain a couple of levels, and it's time to go into this fight because we have no time if we're going to win. So first things first, of course, Ice Beam on this Sandslash. We are then going Earthquake on the Alakazam. We cannot stop animations on this fight. Here we still do not get the one-hit range on Exeggutor. It wasn't enough. We managed to knock out Magneton. Cloyster's a Thunderbolt, of course. And finally, we have to knock out Flareon with an Earthquake. And that clocks us in with a final time of 34 minutes and 28 seconds. Just short of 34 minutes and 29 seconds. That is 15, almost 16 seconds slower than our last run with Mewtwo. Still, that is incredibly close. And what we can say definitively is that if Mew had started the game with Psychic and not had to waste a bunch of time on Brock and some of the early game trainers that it couldn't one-hit KO, this Pokemon probably would have won. The fact is that TM coverage is great, and with equal stats, Mew would absolutely be the best Pokemon in Generation 1. In fact, some people have argued that if you just give it the normal typing, it would be the best Pokemon in Gen 1. Maybe that's something to test out in a different run, but here it's just the fact that it starts with only Pound, and then you have to kind of use some inaccurate strats or kind of weak moves for the good first part of the game that just hold it back a little bit in terms of final time. So there is one last thing that we need to do. We need to fight these 3 Professor Oaks so he can complete his research on this God tier Mew. So I'm going to just take them on one by one. He leads off with Tauros in this one. We're just going to go Psychic and get the one-hit KO. Exeggutor can take the Ice Beam. It is still a 2-hitter on his Exeggutor. We get to level 58. Earthquake will take care of this Arcanine nice and easy for us. Blastoise gets a Thunderbolt. And of course, Gyarados gets a Thunderbolt. And that is the first Oak down. So moving on, we've got 2 more Oaks to fight in order to complete his research for him. We are going to just completely destroy this team. We get a critical hit on Exeggutor that time. If only we could have gotten that on the champion. The Arcanine goes down nice and easy. We're going to go Psychic here on the Venusaur. And finally, Thunderbolt, of course, will do the job on Gyarados as we get to level 60. Finally, the last Professor Oak. He's never going to stand a chance here. We know it, but we are proving to him once and for all just how powerful this Pokemon is. He still survives with Exeggutor. RIP. Arcanine, of course, is going to go down to the Earthquake. Here we've got a Charizard, so I guess we'll just go Thunderbolt on that one. Nice and easy. And Thunderbolt on the Gyarados. And there we have it. In the end, MewZilla, the perfect Mew, was almost the perfect Pokemon. Don't get me wrong, the matter of seconds that was the difference in the end could definitely come down to minor optimizations, could definitely be just not bumping into walls, slight improvements throughout the run. I'm sure if somebody ran these perfectly, these two Pokemon might be identical, or Mew might come slightly ahead, who knows. But at least in this test, we've found that they are pretty close, but Mew has enough disadvantages that it just wasn't quite on that level of Mewtwo. Still, we end with some incredible stats: 351 attack and defense, 350 in speed and special. You can see the badge boosts included on the stats on the left side, and 416 HP at level 61. MewZilla is at least a top 2 Pokemon in the end. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun playing it. Thank you to the 40-50 people who commented "what about Mew" on the last video. And if you want to go back and check how a Weedle does, I'll just pin that one here on the end. Anyway, see you in the next one. Later.